As I said, we have seen them take actions, sometimes actions that even I'm not sure our own military would take, in terms of informing civilian populations ahead of operations, where to go, where not to go.
Let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. Whatever these warrants may imply, there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas.
And the only conclusion you can draw is that the Israeli army is one of the most criminal armies in the world.
So there's this one video that has gone viral since yesterday, and that so accurately captures the brutalities that our Palestinian brothers and sisters face every day from the hands of these Israeli terrorists, also known as IDF. So this particular video should shut up for good everybody who says that IDF is the most moral army. First of all, I have never said that IDF is an army. I've always said that they are the bunch of terrorists disguised as army. I've always said that. I mean, this platform, Janta Ka Reporter, if you go on the website, we launched it in 2015. Since then, we have carried innumerable articles on IDF, and we have never addressed them as an army. We have always addressed them as terrorists. And in fact, only a few years ago, when Benjamin Netanyahu visited India, I was in India at that time, and there was a lot of pomp and show around his visit because Modi was orchestrating everything, and he managed to get the bunch of Bollywood stars to come and meet him, and I had a go at those Bollywood stars. And I called Benjamin Netanyahu a bloodthirsty terrorist. And that particular analogy had angered the members of the right-wing media, and a lot of them started trolling me. They picked on my tweet and made a big story on their platforms. So I've always been consistent. It's only now that the world is waking up to the reality, because they were dishonest. They were suffering from ostrich mentality. I had absolutely zero doubt about the reality of IDF. You can go and check my reporting for the BBC. I have never made any pretension about it. So what happened now is that in Jenin, which is a part of the West Bank, occupied West Bank, they tell you that the Gaza people are suffering because of Hamas. And Hamas launched those attacks on 7th of October just to justify the genocidal campaign in Gaza. But nobody asked them as to why more than 500 people have been brutally killed officially since 7th of October in West Bank. There is no Hamas in West Bank. Why? So this Jenin is part of West Bank, and members of IDF, an organized terrorist group, they decided to parade an injured civilian identified as Mujahid Azmi. He was injured. His family members requested those terrorists to call for the ambulance. Instead, what they do, they tie that injured civilian on the front of the jeep and start parading them. That's the level of dehumanization they go to in order to defame and ridicule Palestinians, innocent Palestinians. And in return, when they retaliate, they say they are terrorists. Now, there's nothing new about it. They do it almost every day. It's just that the one or two of these kind of things get captured and go viral. But Israelis are known for their really deeply troubling terrorist activities which don't get reported, because the mainstream media, they don't suit the agenda of the mainstream media. Now, this is also a slap to people like Joe Biden, Antony Blinken, Israel's international spokesperson John Kirby. Slap to these people, because for the last 8 to 9 months they have been telling you that Israel is the most moral army. Israel's international spokesperson, housed in White House, John Kirby, not too long ago, remember this video when he said that Israeli army was even better than the American army. I mean, the guy should be given the highest civilian honor by the Israeli terrorists for representing the Israeli cause in a way that even Israel's official spokesperson don't do that. This is what he said.
As I said, we have seen them take actions, sometimes actions that even I'm not sure our own military would take, in terms of informing civilian populations ahead of operations, where to go, where not to go.
And the frustrating thing is that these kind of nonsensical utterances go unchallenged. There are no consequences for them. And why would he suffer any consequences? His boss, Joe Biden, not too long ago, again, only a few weeks ago, when the ICC prosecutor filed an application for an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu and his minister, what did Joe Biden say? He was seething in anger that how dare you compare, those war criminals with Hamas fighters.
And let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. Whatever these warrants may imply, there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas.
Now, does he have even an iota of shame to comment on this? No. White House wouldn't hold any press conference. The State Department wouldn't address media because it doesn't suit their agenda. And why would it? Antony Blinken was showering praises on Israel not too long ago.
Israel has and has demonstrated the capacity also to look at itself. And again, this is what separates democracies from other countries. The ability, the willingness, the determination to look themselves. It's my understanding that they have many open investigations based on reports that have come forward with allegations about abuses of human rights or abuse of international humanitarian law, laws of war, etc.
And they do it almost every day. So, the top UN investigator, as we reported, you can see here the full report, top UN investigator, only a few days ago, summed it up brilliantly when he said that Israeli army, he doesn't know whether Israeli army is the most moral army, but because he has expertise in crimes and investigation, he can safely say that Israeli IDF is one of the most criminal armies in the world.
Does the scale of destruction and the number of civilian casualties provide you with a sufficient legal basis to make a determination about crimes against humanity? Because when we're talking about the bombing, we've heard from Israel that it only targets military targets and people engaged directly in hostilities. And we're trying to reconcile that statement and Israel's constant representation of the IDF as the most moral army in the world with the counterclaims that, this is an indiscriminate bombardment creating unnecessary civilian casualties. Thank you.
You mentioned the Israeli army is the most moral army in the world. This is something that is said repeatedly by the current Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu. On one recent occasion, he walked it back a bit and he said one of the most moral armies in the world. Now, I don't have the expertise and I don't have the authority to make assessments of morality. Netanyahu may, but I don't. So, I don't know whether it's one of the most moral armies in the world or not. But what I do have expertise in and what I do have an authority to do is make assessments of criminal conduct. And we've done that in relation to the recent events, and you can see that in the report. And the only conclusion you can draw is that the Israeli army is one of the most criminal armies in the world.
That's exactly what it is. I think he was also being mild. IDF should be one of the biggest terrorist armies in the world. I don't know why people did not wake up to this reality long ago. But anyway, better late than never. At least people are now beginning to see the true colors of the IDF. Now they say for everything, Israel will investigate their own crimes. That's another lie. And I'm sure, just like their credentials about being the most moral army, this will also bite the dust. Because, the lies don't have feet to stand on. And it doesn't have long shelf life. Even though you have the support of mainstream media and these powerful countries in the West, your lies, because your existence is based on lies, it's not gonna last longer. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.